Hello, and welcome to another Saturday food support group. We have these Zoom meetings every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I just invite people to come and to share their stories because I've had so many people reach out to me in private messages and tell me their stories. And I just couldn't keep it for myself. I had to share with you all of the beautiful things that are happening when people break their addiction to sugar and carbs and processed food. And they get their brains back, they get their bodies back, they get their lives back. And they're just so excited that they can't wait to tell. And so I informed everyone that I would be recording these meetings, and I encouraged them that if they wanted to remain anonymous, that they can turn the camera off. But a lot of people they want to share. They want to share what has happened to them, and they're so excited about their new life. And then I also open it up for questions. If people are still struggling and they're still on this journey, that they can come and ask questions. But if you need more individualized care than just in a group like this, feel free to email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com, and I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right, thanks. I hope you enjoy the group. Good morning. Welcome to our Saturday food support group. You guys are more than welcome to, if you want to stay anonymous, keep your camera off. And if you want to say something, raise your hand on it's under the motion or reactions at the bottom. And just raise your hand if you want to ask a question or if you want to tell about your experience. So to start off with, I didn't know. Oh, Cassie's not in here anymore. Okay, never mind. We'll come back to Cassie. But to start off with, I just wanted to know. Oh, there's Cassie. There we go. Cassie, did you want to start off and give us your story?
Sure. I just accidentally clicked a button, so I'm back in.
That's okay. No worries.
Yeah. So I've known Emily for 2 years now because I met her when she was a coach on MeatRx. So I'm over 2 years carnivore. I originally, when I started on carnivore, I was 296 pounds, and I'm 163 now. I lost 130 pounds in 15 months, but really, I probably would say that I'm one of those more stricter carnivores. I did add dairy back in. I had a severe leaky gut, so I had to really stay on track. But I knew even after the first month, when probably by week 5 or 6, when I was with Emily and Tom and Raymond as some of the original coaches, that I was going to stay on carnivore because of what it did for me mentally. I felt like I was in a druggy haze most of the time from brain fog and such. So even though I hadn't lost all of the weight or anything, I knew that this was the way for me. So the actual, after those first 6 or so weeks, I honestly have found it super easy to be carnivore. There's never any reason why I want to go back. My carb addiction disappeared. I, cannot believe just the energy or especially from a mental capacity, and just how my life has changed since that's happened. So.
Well, and my favorite part about your story is that you traveled for work. And
yes.
So you had every excuse to say, oh, I got this work trip in France.
Yes,
I can't
that's right.
today. I can't this week.
That's right.
But you didn't give in to that.
No, I prepared a lot. I would take my food. So I work for an international company, and COVID of course, came in soon after I had started carnivore, but those first couple months, I was in, a lot of trips. I was traveling over 50% of the time. So I would pack, I remember asking them, I said, I brought this 2 pounds of bacon with me and it's been not refrigerated for a few days. Is it still okay? And they're like, sure it is. So I'm sitting there eating homemade bacon in Paris, France. It was just, I accommodated. There wasn't anything like carnivore crisps, which I use
Oh,
now when I'm
they're
traveling.
amazing.
Yeah. Yes. So I just make do. And I've got a lot of good friends who are vegetarian. In fact, my sister-in-law is vegan. And I'm not afraid to say, this is what I eat. This is my diet. And right now I'm doing, this is my first time doing as strict, but I'm actually doing beef, water, and salt
What's
because
strict?
as
Oh,
strict,
as strict.
as strict.
I was
Yeah.
like,
I
strict.
went lion. Yeah. Sorry, not asterisk. Yeah, I actually, for a long time, Raymond or somebody would say, oh, well, I'm doing beef water. And I said, I'm never doing that. I love my pork. And I do. But I realized I still have addiction to things like dairy and so on. So if I'm having dairy in my life, I tend to overeat. I mean, over, let's just say binge or whatever. I mean, I can finish a whole block of Parmesan. I was just doing too much. And over the last few months of last year, I had put back on some weight. And I knew it was because I was snacking and I was eating all the time and I was having a lot of dairy and it was making me hungrier. It was increasing my where I wanted to be. I could tell I was retaining a lot of water. So I actually went beef and water. I think let's see, the second week in January, and I'm on day I don't know. I'm 3 weeks in, 2.5 weeks in, and I've dropped back down 10 pounds. So I'm back at my lowest weight. I mean, I just want people to know it's always, you can play around with it on your lifestyle. And I'm sure I will add back in dairy, but I knew it was starting to go a bit over the top when I was jonesing for something. I'm not a moderator. I have to be an abstainer.
Me too.
So, yeah.
Well, and also, I mean, it's so weird that in my thoughts, because cravings are thoughts,
Yes.
and so whenever I'm just eating, animal meat and animal fat, it's like I've got this helmet of protection where I
Yes.
just don't have those thoughts. And then the second that I introduce some kind of random flavor like cheese or milk or whatever, dairy, it's just like it
Yes.
opens a door
I
to the
agree.
cravings. And then I'm just like, oh yeah, what about this? Oh yeah, what about? And I'm just like, I want to go back and put my little helmet on, like,
Yes.
to protect myself from all those cravings.
Yes. It is. It truly is. I don't, when it's, I guess it's easier from the abstaining point of view, is that you say, okay, it's just not going to be it. And that's where, for me, it's always been pretty easy. It's like, this is in, this is out. In fact, my husband, just being on beef for 2 weeks, I was always sensitive to pepper and other things. And we had steaks. And I said, well, since we were going to share the steaks, I said, you can use your steak seasoning, just your standard, I forgot what's the brand.
Montreal.
The McCormick steak seasoning, which I think has a bit of, and he used some garlic salt. And the next day, yes, and pepper. And this is something that most people may not realize. A doctor told me this 7 years ago. I used to be 376 pounds. So I'd gone paleo. So I've lost over 210 pounds.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And my doctor had said, if you have a normal food diet and then, you weigh yourself every day, and then one day you spike, like go up a couple pounds, and it's not maybe hormonal related, time of the month. Well, the next day after those steaks, I gained 4 pounds. And then the second day, from the spices alone.
Wow.
And the next day it was gone. So I don't think people really understand the level of inflammation that can be
Yeah.
triggered so quickly. And just on that. And so I think elimination diets, which I definitely consider carnivore, it's a really telltale sign through it all.
Yeah. And what I really liked about your journey, Cassie, was that you didn't listen to what I said. You didn't listen to what Raymond said, what Tom said. You didn't like follow our little, cookie cutter way. You listened to yourself.
Yeah.
You navigated this and you heard what we were talking about, in our meetings.
Yes.
But you really tried it out for yourself and you dialed it in. You're still
Yes.
dialing it in,
Yep.
and you and I haven't talked in
Yeah, it's
like,
probably been about 8 months since we've been
yeah.
together on a Zoom.
And that's what I think is so important, is that you don't need someone to hold your hand like every, for years and years and years. You
Yeah.
just got to get that foundation of that communication in this community to really understand and then dial in yourself. And then you can go on your own,
Yeah.
And like you said, you recognized, okay, this is something different. I introduced these spices and now I'm feeling, something, some kind of reaction.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
folks do it through some of them. I never worried about the level of whether I was doing high fat or low fat or moderate, measuring any kind of areas. I just listened to my body. And when everybody was in their lean fat day phase, the thought of having a lean product just was so unappealing. I'm like, I don't need that. I'm where I want to be. If I want to reduce, I know that I cut my dairy consumption. I immediately go into beef and water. I did some significant fasting when I was nearing my goal. But when I went beef and water, I immediately went to OMAD because I wasn't hungry. I mean, the hunger cravings that you can get from certain, or just even the fake cravings, the lizard brain, it can all happen just from the foods that you're eating. But again, trying to follow a prescription, I think that this is the only time these last 2 years that I ever fully understood and could listen to my body and know what it is, what's really happening.
Exactly. It's almost like a practice. I found that, like at first you got the training wheels of a group like this, of a coach, of, watching YouTube videos, of reading articles. And then as you get going, you're like, oh, I know Cassie. I know what Cassie reacts to. I know what Cassie feels best on, and then you operate in that. And it's almost like a feeling that like it's a discernment that you operate in. And one of my favorite parts was we would be in the meetings sometimes every day,
multiple times a day,
and we would be sitting there, and all of a sudden we would have to stop the meeting, and I'd be like, Raymond, do you see Cassie's face? Like, we just like watched your face, like just totally like transform in your skin. I couldn't believe your skin. It was just amazing as you really got into this, feeding your body the nutrients and the vitamins that it needed. You became a different person right before our very eyes.
Yeah. It was pretty significant. If people do a search, I guess it's over on Rivero now, but you can search my name, just search for Cassie Crossley and success story or something. So there's a couple different YouTube videos and such, and you can see the picture. If you go to Instagram for Carnivore Cassie, you can see my before and after pictures. Yeah, it was a significant. I never did really close face shots, but and even the other day when it happened about that spice, my rosacea flared. So
really?
I had significant rosacea, and I still do, no matter what. You're always going to have triggers from an environment and such. But I always have what I call my Rudolph nose, and it'll get pretty red for a couple days if I'm having an inflammation attack. But
And
I'm
I
not wearing
remember,
makeup.
go ahead.
I'm not wearing makeup, but normally if I had been makeup free, it would have been bright red the entire time.
Yeah. And I remember when you would walk, when you
Yes.
go on your walks, your rosacea would flare.
Yes. Yeah. And it still does. I mean, but that's normal because of the thin skin.
Well, and what's really cool is that it's the difference between almost like an attack of rosacea versus
Yes.
managed.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I still have bipolar disorder, but it's managed,
Yes.
it's totally different. And so you experience mental clarity as well, correct?
Absolutely. That was the game changer for me is I said on different podcasts and video is that I felt like I was operating at 30%. And now I know what it feels like to operate at 100%. That my job performance it tripled. I was having to take naps every day. I could only focus for a few hours at a time. It was really debilitating. And at that point, by the second month, I said, I don't care if I ever lose a pound. I don't want to do that. In fact, just so I'm planning to donate my kidney to either to my husband or someone so that he can get a kidney. And they in order to have some surgery done this past year, I had some skin removal surgery, and they wouldn't perform it unless I had managed my cholesterol, because my cholesterol actually went up to 463. I've also got that genetic factor that leads to high cholesterol. So you tie that with a keto kind of diet, and it went through the roof. So they put me on statins, and by the third day, I was sick, physically sick. It triggered my IBS, and I was in such a fog. It triggered my brain fog, and I couldn't stand it. I'm like, I realized just again how bad brain fog can be, because when I could not even concentrate for a couple of days by the second day, and they've tried a couple different kinds of statins, and then finally they said, you're just not compatible. There's people who cannot take it. I'm like, that's great. And I actually am on a special one now. It's not a statin, it's a different protein inhibitor, so that I can get to the level needed until I donate my kidney. And then once I'm free and clear, I'll stop that because I don't need it. It's called Repatha. It's a shot that I have to take every 2 weeks. And it is reducing my cholesterol, but I'm also going to change my diet. But that brain fog is a killer. I think that my daughter who's got my older daughter who has some certain areas because her dad is bipolar. So she had taken different medications like you used to have to take, Emily. And she said the medications would just stupefy her. And that's what I felt after a couple days of statin. When you have such a clean body and clean food, and then you start taking something, it's a major difference. And so when they did the Repatha, I said, I'll know right away if this is going to trigger something for me, because it's like, I'm a high performance machine now. And
you're a superhuman.
Yeah. And when something is different, we know it.
Yeah. You're keyed in, you're dialed in.
Yes.
And before there was just so much noise.
Yes.
There was just so much noise with all the carbs and all the sugar, that you just didn't realize it was just another pile of horrible.
And chemicals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All the chemicals. So big difference. Because I even tried, when they couldn't do the statins, I tried red yeast rice, which is a natural. Same thing. I tried taking CoQ10. Same thing. It was making me sick. So it's amazing how those different things can do that to you.
Wow. So people can find you on Instagram at Carnivore Cassie.
Yes.
And then they can look you up on Rovero Health, Cassie Crossley. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
So much for coming. I love your story. I've reposted your pictures,
Yes.
I'll probably do another one because I love your story.
That's good. Well, I'm good to see everybody. I want to attend when I can on Saturday. So
awesome. You're welcome anytime. So
Great.
feel free to always just raise your hand if you want to throw in your 2 cents. I love it.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Cassie. It's been fun being on this journey with you.
And you
Okay.
were a vital part of it. So,
Oh,
thank you so much. I love you so much.
mm,
So,
thank you. That means so much to me. Jean, you wanted to say something? Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute
Okay,
your?
yeah, I'm unmuted now. Sorry.
Awesome. Hi. Good morning.
Hi, nice to see you. This is my first time
Okay.
in this group, so really happy to be here and hearing all the stories. So when Cassie was talking about the seasonings and how it made her gain like 4 pounds the next day, well, I'm still a really new, like I'm a newbie to the whole carnivore. I started 12 days ago, and when I talked to you, Emily, at day 6, I was already telling you all the great mental and emotional stability I was feeling.
Yeah.
But and now it's day 12 and I'm still going. I've included a few non-carnivore things, like I mentioned, like pickles and lemon juice. But I'm eating more of the carnivore. Like just for lunch now, I had, a couple of ground lamb patties and one sausage link, and I feel good. So I'm excited to keep going. But what Cassie was talking about, the seasonings, made me think about the other day, I had a craving for cheese, and I hadn't had cheese for, ever since, day 6 of the carnivore. But when I had the cheese, it just made me crave more cheese. So that one day I had 4 slices of cheddar cheese. And then the next day when I weighed myself, I gained a pound. And I've been losing weight all this time, but that cheese just made me gain a pound the next day. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so once I finish the cheese, I'm going to go off the cheese for a bit because it's just too much of a trigger. But I'm really, really still loving how I feel so mentally clear, mentally stable, emotionally grounded. It's just amazing. It's only day 12, and my challenge now is to be consistent, try to sustain this way of eating and keep going. So that's my challenge now is, I'm so new to it, day 12, but I'm excited to keep going, keep going, keep going.
Amazing. Oh my gosh, Jean, that just made my day. Like, I'm so grateful that you reached out to me, and we got to talk, and that you're just sticking with it, and I think sometimes, unfortunately, we have to get to the place where we're just so freaking miserable
Mm-hmm.
that nothing else matters.
Yeah.
That we have no problem doing something as ridiculous and extreme as changing our eating because we can't go back to that misery.
No, yeah. And I just had a call with my psychiatrist yesterday, Friday, and he was 100% supportive of my way of eating. I didn't tell him it was carnivore. I just said I took out sugar and processed food. And he said, you know what, if it's working, keep going, keep going. And he gave me all the support. And he's a great psychiatrist. He's not just about pushing the pills. He tells me that all his patients, he always emphasizes, you have to, be good with sleep, nutrition, and exercise. So coming from a psychiatrist who prescribes pills, like he's a really wonderful psychiatrist. And I told him the shift I had was in the past when I tried different ways of eating or different diets, the focus was always on losing weight. I want to lose the weight. I want to lose the weight. And then it was never sustainable. But this time around, I know it's only day 12, but my focus is instead staying mentally and emotionally stable. So if I have that mental and emotional stability without the anxiety, without any of those, like, I guess, not really a panic attack, but they were definitely anxiety attacks that would interrupt my work life, interrupt my family life. You know what? Now I've shifted the focus from losing weight to being mentally and emotionally stable. And this way of eating, even if I don't lose another pound, I'm going to keep doing it as long as I'm like mentally sharp and emotionally stable.
Oh my goodness. That's everything. And you know what that is? That's sustainable. Because if we do this based on what the scale says, we're going to eat pepper or spices and gain 4 pounds. And then what? Like punish ourselves and starve ourselves for a day? That's ridiculous. That's so stupid. But if you base it on your mental clarity, then you're going to continue to be on this journey and walk into more healing. And that's really what matters. Like,
Yeah.
who cares if you weigh 120 pounds and you're miserable and you're cranky and you're irritable and you're not nice to be around and you can't think? So what?
Yeah.
But your mental clarity is everything. I'm so glad that you said that, Jean.
Yeah, I feel very nourished and I feel very healthy.
That's amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and come join the meetings anytime, and always feel free to throw in your 2 cents. I feel so honored to have crossed paths with you and to have gotten to meet you.
Same here. You're an inspiration, Emily. You really are an inspiration. Thank you.
No problem. Awesome. So Rosa, what's up? Good morning.
Oh, hi. Good morning. Well, you guys were kind of talking about inflammation and how it affects you, like gain weight and everything, and then the brain fog. Well, I decided to go all in carnivore this month. And I mean, I've dabbled with it to heal my gut in the past, since 2019, when I was having just these SIBO flare-ups and these candida flare-ups. I was down to everything was making me react, and I couldn't figure out why. So I did do carnivore, but not strict carnivore for, I don't know, probably 8 months or so. And then I felt like I wanted the plants again. And so I've been kind of ketovore, but I am amazed by the difference just this month, just taking out that last little bit of plants. And I took out the plants, and then I took out the coffee and the dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And my inflammation, I haven't really lost any weight, but my inflammation in my face has gone down. Like,
wow.
Like I was getting it in my neck, like you could really see it, and then my face, and then the brain fog, and then the mood stuff I didn't really even realize that I was experiencing. I just knew that I felt really unmotivated. Like I had to really push myself to, because I have a podcast and health coaching and all that. And I had to like make myself do these things, even though I was so passionate about all these things, and I couldn't figure out like, why am I not motivated and not feeling that joy that I was feeling before. So I think over time, what starts to happen, even if you just have a few plants here and there and you think, oh, that's not that bad. I feel like some things that happen is it builds up maybe in your body. If you're somebody like me that can't detox very well and really sensitive to chemicals. And yeah, I can figure it out. So I went just full on carnivore this month, and on day 10, I felt that joy that you talk about.
Yay.
And the fog was lifted, and it felt amazing. But it can be these different levels of like, you don't realize it, like underlying, you don't realize that it's affecting your mood so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you think, okay, that's what we were taught since we were little, vegetables are good. And I don't preach that vegetables are like as bad as sugar and carbs, junk carbs, at all. I do think that there are some people that can have vegetables, but until you do this elimination where you remove it, you get your baseline, you feel what good feels like. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this is my baseline. This is my optimum. Then you can reintroduce whatever you're dying to reintroduce, broccoli or asparagus or kale or whatever you want to reintroduce. But because you get that baseline and you see, okay, this is what good feels like. And then you can reintroduce whatever you want.
Well, and I know I have an MTHFR. I found this out last year, actually, 2 coffees on one side. And so I have a hard time detoxing. My pathways, like it takes me a long time to sweat. And so that's a sign that like I need to work on opening up those pathways. And then you know, it's not, I don't really think it's the vegetables that I was eating that were the problem. It's like what's on the vegetables. It's, you don't realize how much pesticides, and you don't know what's on them actually, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then your environment, like we're always having to detox from our environment.
Yep. Chemicals everywhere.
Yeah. And so I just feel like some people like me, like we just really need to have the strictest, not in a bad way, but we just have to have this really clean diet. Even you know, the coffee has a lot of toxins and mold, and
absolutely.
even I was getting the cleanest coffee, but and it also feeds the candida bacteria, and so I had to remove that, and that's a hard one for me.
Yeah. That was I'm a rip the Band-Aid off kind of a girl, and so I did that July 4th of 2020, and I should have gone slowly. I should have just tapered off, but I just quit one day. I went from heavy caffeine addiction to I quit, and it was the worst like 5 days of my life. It was horrible. I had to like call out of work. It was torture. But now, being free from that addiction, it was an absolute addiction. It's just like, it's like getting to know the real me. Like, this is who I am, not on caffeine, you know, that I can still think and be brilliant and have ideas and be motivated without caffeine. And I didn't know that.
Well, yeah. And that's another thing, you know, is I wasn't even doing that much coffee, but it's a stimulant, and I would need it to wake up in the morning. Yeah. But once I took it away, and then the first week was rough. But I noticed like a fog lifted from that too. And I felt happy when I wake up now. I feel happy. And I was like, what's this? I feel happy when I wake up.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I'm not puffy or anything, but I am really like sensitive to, you know, like the seasonings I find now. And then when I went full carnivore this month, I've noticed my sense of smell is heightened, my taste. I don't need seasonings anymore. You know, I don't even salt my food really. I'm enjoying just the taste of the food I'm eating. Awesome. And it tastes so good. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Rosa. I appreciate you just coming to these meetings so much. And I saw that you shared our video of our meeting in your group. And I think like that's awesome.
Yes, I feel like it's really needed. And I feel like, you know, for me, like just to keep me on track, because I'm one of those people like you that I rip the bandage off. And I do it, and I have the intentions, but usually what happens is like, you know, I'll go out to eat with my family or something, like, oh, that looks really good. And I'll be like, oh, I can just have that once in a while. But I really want to just stick to this to see what further healing I can do. Because I feel like I've really, you know, overcome the sugar addiction, the carb addiction, you know, the alcohol. I don't want all those things anymore. Yeah. Like, I don't even want a sweet taste in my mouth.
No.
I guess for me, it's more of like I'm addicted to vegetables.
Yeah. Well, that's so awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. And then I just wanted to mention one of the books too that helped me with my recovery. I forgot to mention last week.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. But she goes into the psychology of not just alcohol addiction, but food and sugar, carb addiction, and how it's like at the subconscious level. So I feel like it's important for this group. It would be like a really good read with a lot of good information.
Annie Grace, This Naked Mind.
Yes. Okay. And I'll put it in the chat too if anyone.
Awesome.
Interested. But I just wanted to share that.
No, that's great. I mean, any resources along this journey, I've learned so much from so many different people. So I love to have all those little tidbits to just, just fill our toolbox so that we got our
Yeah.
toolbox, we're ready to go. And that's why I wanted to have these weekly meetings, so that we can just recenter and go, okay, this is what we're doing, and to just come back to the path, to the way.
Yes, I think it's important to have all these resources. And I'm one of those people, like, I want to know why. Why am I addicted? Why? The why. And it helps to
Absolutely.
know why, because then I think you can know yourself better, and then you know that it's not your fault.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. Thanks, Rosa.
Okay, thanks.
Karen, good morning. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm not driving. Don't worry.
Oh,
But
good. Yeah, you always
destination.
scare me.
No, I'm not driving. Both answer here. I want to tell you about a non-scale victory that I had. I posted on my
Awesome.
Instagram. 2 years into carnivore, and 2 years of low carb before that. And hey, about 8 years ago, I was at the eye doctor, and I'm talking about my eyelids. I had droopy eyelids, and it gets so droopy that it starts to kind of cover your eyeball, and you get a surgery on it, like eyelid surgery. People do it for reasons, and insurance covers it after so much of a blockage. Well, my eye doctor and I were talking about it. My mother got it. My uncle got it. All three of those people were in phenomenal shape, great shape. Did the low fat, all the oils and this, that, and the other. Well, I noticed it about a year ago, but I look at my eyelids now, and there's no freaking droopy eyelids anymore. I'm not going to need that eyelid surgery, which is a great thing. You're laid up for a little bit. I couldn't do pickleball, kayaking, and all those fun things I like doing. If I got that surgery, I saved a few dollars, and I saved some miserable procedure. Seed oils. I really feel not eating seed oils has helped with that non-scale victory. That who would have thought of such a thing? So I put on my Instagram, and I had other people saying, "I'm seeing a difference too," or "You're giving me hope." So it's just something you never know where the weirdest non-scale victories are going to be coming from. That's what I like about this carnivore gig.
That's awesome.
So that's my non-scale victory. Hooray! I don't have to have surgery.
Yay!
Yeah, thanks.
That is so awesome. Thank you for sharing. I actually just had a client this week who I think she's 7 weeks into the inner clarity system. And she was just like, just sharing, going forward, she's broken her sugar addiction. She's managing that. And she said, I can't wait until I'm done with this. I'm going to get my eyelids surgery. And I was just like, wait, wait, it gets better. You're only 7 weeks in. It gets better. So I can't wait until she sees this video and she hears that you're 2 years in and you don't need to get that surgery that is in your family. That's right. Amazing.
That's right. I put some on my Instagram too, on a post to see those pictures, because it's amazing. I mean, I definitely don't need it. So Cassie just typed up, she doesn't need it anymore either. That's just, what a great non-scale victory.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well,
Thanks for doing all this, Emily.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thanks for sharing. I'm definitely going to find your post and send it to my client. That's awesome.
Okay, sounds good. Great. Thank you. No pickleball today, so I was able to get in on most of this. Just getting new tires for the car, new boots for the husband. So I did a little running around today. All right.
Awesome.
Well, thanks a lot.
I'm always.
Where's truck driver Ben from? Where's truck driver Ben from?
Where's truck driver Ben from?
Is he in the UK or something? Where's he?
He's from Canada. Ben, would you like to talk?
Yeah. Hey, Ben, did you do the convoy then?
No, he's actually in America.
I'm so happy that you know what that is, though. I just posted a video about it because I'm down in Florida right now. But all my brothers and friends are in Ottawa in their trucks right now. So super exciting.
Well, we have my husband, truck driver, well, retired. I have my CDL also, Ben. I've driven an 18-wheeler and I've driven in Canada, and I don't like your chocolate as well as I like the U.S. chocolate. Just saying, I don't eat any of it. I didn't like that chocolate up there in Canada, but I don't eat that crap anymore. But I was just
Fair
wondering
enough.
where you're at. I've seen you trucking before, and I'm like, where's she from? Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. He's not in a truck though.
I'm in a car.
Oh, you're in a car?
He's just a traveler.
Well, enjoy your vacation, Ben. Enjoy the USA warm air, man. Nice meeting you.
Thanks.
I'm
You too.
Karen.
That's awesome. While you have the floor, would you like to share anything, Ben, or ask anything?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, first of all, great to see you again, Emily, and to get in on the
Yes.
group. I've seen some posts about it, and yeah, I worked with Emily last summer and made a ton of progress with the carnivore diet, and so I kind of follow along with her stuff. And I saw this group, and I just wanted to pop in and say hi, but also I just felt honestly like I needed a bit of support too. So I've been I was very strict last summer and into the fall, and then kind of on this trip. I've been down here for the winter, and have been still doing well. I kind of came to carnivore for my mental health, and had some just amazing progress with it that way, kind of for depression and anxiety and just overall energy. So it's been life-changing for me, and I've managed to stick with it. But it was neat to hear some of those people's just comments there, because I very much experienced similar things, just some spices, some different things, playing around with coffee in and out, and I not all at once, but kind of a cumulative effect. I noticed things were just starting to affect me. So it's funny how it calls you back. I feel called back to kind of the lion diet mentality, because that's what really healed me. That's what really supercharged things for my mental health. And I know that. And for me, I don't think I have flare-ups really quickly like some people do, and it's hard to track down how different things affect you. But because even for a month, with being a little bit more flexible, I was fine, and then I started to just feel less optimal, and I was denying it, but my anxiety was just on the rise again, and I was trying to figure out what that was. And I mean, a lot of it comes back to tightening things up, and probably getting my fat up high again. So
I was
yeah,
just going to say that, Ben, because I remember
know.
it unlocking you. I mean, when
Yeah.
you switched to the frozen raw fat, it was just like this huge shift.
Yep. Yeah. And like I said, I think it's what's the word? It doesn't happen till like later on, like even a few weeks, I think. Like I think it's the benefits are fast, but I think it's cumulative as well. So I think I'm noticing that not having as much fat in recent weeks. I mean, I know that's part of it. So I was literally just looking up a butcher shop to get some. I gotta get back into it.
That's tough with traveling to find.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's easier to find meat while you're traveling, but to find a good source of fat that you can eat raw, and then freeze it. I mean, it's definitely a challenge.
It is a challenge.
But I will send some vibes and some prayers that you find the exact right source. And what I love about what you just said was, you know how good feels. And so you just have to revisit that. You have to go back to your baseline and what you remember it feeling like. And I think it's important for us to experiment and to try and see where we go with things. And I love the experimenter that you are. I mean, you go all out, and then you document it. If you guys don't know, You can find Ben. What's your Instagram?
It's real life ed, like real life education. Yeah.
That's Instagram or that's YouTube?
Oh,
That's
sorry.
both.
That's YouTube. That's everything's on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, so
Not
real
so
life
much Instagram.
ed on YouTube. Amazing journey with Ben. Very, very interesting. Of course, I'm a little biased because I've worked with him and I think he's phenomenal. But I think that so many times we get stuck in our thinking, and it really unlocks our thinking whenever we can break that addiction to sugar and carbs and eat more fat.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So awesome. So I hope this encouraged you. I welcome you to come to the meetings anytime. And thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, not at all. And I'll try to be here next week because honestly, this week I think I'm gonna just really lock it down and up my fat, be strict, and yeah, looking forward to that bringing me back to where I know it does. So yeah, thanks so much.
And because you're an alumni of the Inner Clarity System, you have lifetime access to the live Q&As every week. So
Awesome.
anytime you want to go into those live Q&As with me, I send you out an email every week. You are
Right.
always
I was
welcome.
almost there this week, so I might hop in there, but thanks.
You are welcome anytime. So that's 2 meetings that you can do every week, Saturday and then your live Q&A.
Perfect.
I'm
Thanks,
always
Emily.
here for you, Ben.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks so much.
No
Bye.
problem. Christy.
Hi. So I've tried carnivore 3 different times,
Okay.
and the longest I've been successful at it was about 2.5 weeks. And then more recently, that was like before COVID hit. And then more recently, in November, I did 9 days. In January, I did 8 days. And so I'm not able to do it very long. So I've been trying to observe myself, what's happening. I definitely have a clear addiction to sugar. And I also am a stress eater. So those are the 2 things that I've observed about myself. And I definitely, my plan is to start back with an attempt on February 1st, but I don't want it just to be another attempt, because I definitely need this for an abundance of health reasons, physical health, and I don't want to sabotage myself. So I'm hoping that maybe you can give advice for me, but also for whoever listens to this, if they're kind of trying to come on and stay on, like how long does it take for the cravings to go away? And just whatever tidbits of advice, that'd be great.
Absolutely. I think community is key. I think that especially with our addicted mind, I'm in the middle of reading this book. It's called Processed Food Addiction by Joan Ifland. And she goes into the science of it. And we have these mirror neurons in our brain. And I won't be able to explain it as well as she does in that it's a textbook. But we do what we see. And so if we see other people eating junk, we're just going to be like, yeah, I can have a candy bar. I can have a brownie. I can have some pizza. I can have some ice cream. So-and-so's doing it and she's fine. So-and-so's doing it and he's fine. But then whenever you change your community and you join a group like this, you get a coach who you can talk to on a daily basis. It refires and rewires those mirror neurons so that you can, really change your brain, change your addiction. And what I found is that you have to support that by putting up those parameters with, like I said, having a community and having that support of a coach. And I'm not even just saying me. There are tons of coaches out there. I mean, you could just go Google carnivore coach. You can go to Rivero Health. You can email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I'll walk you through what it looks like to work with me. And I'm not saying that forever. Like, Ben worked with me in this past summer. And I still have the live Q&As every week for all of my alumni, for them to just pop in. And so just kind of having that anchor, that tether, that you're still connected to someone. I think, unfortunately, this way of eating is so simple that we have this false sense of security that it's just eating meat. I can do this. I can do this. And not realizing how it's not about what you're doing. It's about the addiction that you're breaking. And breaking addiction is very, very difficult. So I hope that helps a little bit. Did that spur any other questions?
Yeah, thank you. Well, just that I did try in November and December by joining different carnivore groups where we would have the meetings, and I noticed that yes, I did in November and December, and what I noticed, and I'm not going to say that it didn't work, but it wasn't enough. Like it didn't change my behavior. Let's put it that way. Like it's still up to me to actually make that change of behavior, and I didn't.
Yeah, so you might need more intensive services.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know it sounds dramatic and ridiculous for me to compare this to heroin, but it's not that different. So would you try to get off of heroin by yourself?
Well, my brother did. He was successful at that. But
wow.
I have learned a little bit through the sugar addiction that it actually triggers the same place in the brain that heroin does and that cocaine does. So it's like literally like this physical thing. But yeah, I figure if my brother was tough enough to cold turkey it off heroin 15 years ago and not had a relapse, I have it in me, in my DNA to do it. I haven't yet, but it doesn't mean that I won't. I want to make sure to have all the, everything set in place. So I definitely love the idea of more intensive assistance, because just the groups alone weren't helpful, but they were helpful in that there's a lot of information. Then there's that camaraderie. There's a lot of people that are doing the same thing. And that's definitely, I think, necessary. So yeah, I really appreciate you having this.
Yeah, no problem. And I think it's really important to mention that yes, these groups are amazing. It's good to, talk and everything, but there's something next level that happens when you are seen. Not just when you see somebody else, but when somebody else sees you. When they know what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are. They know your name. They know your daily habits. They really see you. And so I think that's, kind of the magic of getting a coach. And like mine is for 8 weeks. And so you have access to me every day for 8 weeks. And I know that there's other coaches that, they do like 30-minute sessions, and you can schedule with them whenever you want. And then like I have these meetings once a week. But I really think that there's something about other people seeing you that brings that accountability up to another level.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure a lot of other people who listen are going to appreciate it too. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate the question. I appreciate you sharing so much. Awesome. Thanks, Christy. Justin, good morning.
Good morning, Em. Great to be here for another lovely Saturday with everybody. I just wanted to chime in just talking about addiction and why a coach might be helpful. So addiction's kind of my bread and butter. That's what I specialized in and doing my psychology classes.
That's what you have your master's in?
Right. Yes, exactly. And the clients that I have, the addicted clients, we very rarely talk about food, which might sound funny because food is like, everyone knows what to eat and all that stuff. But like what Christy was saying, it's the behaviors and translating the mind, body, physical connection, right? And so usually, and the way through that is through the emotions, the emotional, mental part of that. And so, the importance of a coach, I think, is just to be able to like, we're one part therapist and one part coach, one part cheerleader, one part teacher, right? And so we're able to assist with all these different aspects of, because this is not a diet. I always try to make that clear. Carnivore, keto, way of eating, that's why I like the way of eating, right? We kind of use that more than saying it's a diet, because it's a way of life. It's a, has many moving parts. And unless you're working with somebody that's dealt with each one of those moving parts, it can be difficult just looking and not interacting which part might be missing in your so-called treatment or trying to reach your goals, and so being able to talk about the social aspect, the mental aspect, the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, your goals, your day-to-day life, your stress levels, to really get deep into that stuff, I feel is where coaching is actually really helpful. Because you have a history, right? And I always dig in. My first 3 sessions or so is digging into childhood history and things like that, and where that goes. And then because it translates to habits now, and your unconscious rewards that you're getting from your current behaviors and things of that nature, because there's always those, right? We only do things that we like to do. We never do things that we don't like to do. That's actually the truth.
Yeah.
We might tell ourselves that we don't like doing this, but we always use universal preferable behavior, which means whatever you're doing now is universally what you prefer to do over all other things. Otherwise, you would not be doing it.
Yeah.
So, which
and like you said, having somebody else see your patterns.
Right, exactly, your patterns, and be able to link those patterns together to a cohesive narrative. Because and
an actionable step next.
Right, exactly. So it's here you are, and here's where we can go, and here's where we can change the story now. Here's the point, and like what Rosa said, how can we do the things that we do, right? And if a person's, it's hard for us. There are a few things people can do, but to look back in our own narrative in our own life and put those narrative and pieces together, because we oftentimes have biases and interjections from authority figures, parents, etc., that blind us to possible missteps, and things like that. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. And how can people find you for coaching, Justin?
Yeah, just my Instagram. I've got everything linked on there, but Justin at alloutlife.carnivore. Yeah.
At alloutlife.carnivore.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That was brilliant and beautiful. All right. Well, we are at time, and I am so thankful. This has been another amazing video or amazing meeting. And you guys, this is just so fun. Someone was just asking me, when are you going to stop doing the Saturday meetings? And I'm like, no time soon. This is so fun. And I love having these conversations, and to hear, you guys on this journey. So thank you so much. And feel free to send somebody this link. These are going to be up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Center of Brilliance. So, you can send it to somebody who you think might need it. But thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great Saturday. Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the group. There is always so much beauty in being transparent and in really recognizing that we're all not alone on this journey. And so if you want to, feel free to join the Saturday support groups. They're every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you need more individualized care, then reach out to me and email me at innerclaritysystem@gmail.com. And I would love to walk through and show you what it looks like to work with me one-on-one. All right. Thanks.